Hey guys, so the problem you guys have been having with the two-player games is something I covered before in a video for it was Chase Horizon. So let me show you guys real quick what you have to do. And I'm also going to show you guys how to use Ryujinx as an alternate emulator. But yeah, let me go to Rocket Launcher, select Switch over here, go to the Modules tab, and click the refresh icon because you're not going to see the modules. Then you click on Yuzu and you click on this icon right here. It's the fourth one from the right. And then you go to ROM settings and then here you have to add the game. Horizon Chase and Sonic Colors are already there for you guys. I just added these two today. But basically what you do is you click the plus and then you look for your game, you select it, and then it's going to come up here and then you select it here. And then you go over here to hide controller applet and set that to false from the list. All right. So now what happens is when you start the game, I'm going to show you what happens. Let's start up this Nickelodeon Kart Racers right here. So basically the reason the game was freezing is because the controller applet that pops up with Yuzu was being hidden by Rocket Launcher and causing the whole thing to freeze. So if you guys have two players, you have to go here and do what I just did so that it does not hide the applet. Okay, so we're gonna start up a new game here, and I'm having to do a voiceover for this because the volume got really loud. But anyway, this is about the part here where you would usually get a freeze right here. Instead, what you get now is you get the controller applet that pops up. Now on my systems, if you hold down the back button on the Xbox controller, while you're holding down the back button with the right joystick, you can move the mouse cursor around. And with the left trigger, you can simulate a mouse left click. So what you want to do while holding the back button is use the right joystick to come over to the player 2 side to click that little box right there. So while holding the back button, using the right joystick to move the cursor, come over here, line up the cursor with the little box and press your left trigger, and then it's going to activate both players. If you do it on the player 1 side only, it'll activate that one, and then you have to do it on the player 2. If you do it on the player 2, it'll activate both of them. So then you go down to OK, and again, you press the left trigger to click OK. And then once you do that, both controllers are going to work. Alright, so that's that. Now, let me show you guys how to use alternate emulators. So, I've showed you guys this before for like Dreamcast. But basically, let's say you have a game and you find that it only works with Ryujinx or that it runs better with Ryujinx than Yuzu. Well, you can come over here to Games, Alternate Emulators, click the little plus icon, and you can click the magnifying glass over here and then look for whatever game that may be. Let's say 3D Golf, click on that, and then do the same thing over here on emulators with the magnifying glass, and then type in Ryujinx will pop up, double click that, click save, and now you can see that 3D Golf is set to launch with Ryujinx instead of Yuzu. So I'm going to take that out of there because I don't want that. And that's it. That's how you do that. But I do have to tell you guys some other things. So here's the deal. Yuzu, with updates for Yuzu, like if you have a DLC update or any sort of game update, right? Let me open up Yuzu. The way you would install it is you do it through the emulator, and then it takes the files and installs them into an internal file system, into its internal file system. All right, so I'm going to give you guys an example of that. Let's say this game here first, it's called first mission. It's called something like, yeah, front. Okay, front. So front mission first remake, right? If you wanted to install an update for this game, you would right click it. You don't right click it, I'm sorry. You go to file, install files from to NAND. And then you go wherever you have the update. So for this example, I'm going to go to R and going to go to Nintendo Switch and this updates folder. So you would take this is the update. It updates the game to 1.0.1, right? So I would select that game. Now, if I show you guys before that, if I right click it and do properties, you can see that this is now at version 1.0.0. But if I do that, install files to NAND, again, I go to wherever I have the update, right here, and I select the update, click install. It's going to install the update. Some of these take a while, some of them go really fast. Okay, so installed successfully. Click OK on that. It's going to refresh. Okay, I'm going to look for the game again. And then now if I right click it and go to properties, you can see that it's now at a 1.0.1 because it installed the update, right? So that's all good, but here's the problem. Now, if you have, let's say you find out that this game does not work with Yuzu, which in this case it doesn't. This game does not work with Yuzu. So you want to add it to Ryujinx. You can go over here and open up Ryujinx. I just have shortcuts here, but you would open up Ryujinx from your R drive, which is where the emulators for Nintendo Switch are. So R drive, arcade, emulators. There's Ryujinx, there's Yuzu. Ryujinx publish, Ryujinx.exe, and Yuzu early access, Yuzu.exe. So here's Ryujinx, and I have that game in here as well. So front mission, there it is. And so basically I would just go to, I mean, this is already pointing to all of the games, right? So when you open up Ryujinx, it's already going to pull up all the same games that you see in Yuzu. The problem is that Ryujinx does not share the updates with Yuzu. The actual base game itself, right? They're both pointing right here to our Nintendo Switch. So all these games are going to be visible on both. But with Ryujinx, you need to keep that update file. So here it is, the one that we installed in Yuzu. You need to keep that actual file as the update. Like it doesn't, when you do an update through Ryujinx, it doesn't install the update into like its internal file system. It just references this file here and keeps it wherever it is you have it. So in the case of Yuzu, normally when you install an update, after you install it, since Yuzu already took this file and put it into its file system, you would come here and delete this file because you don't want to take up space here and in Yuzu's file system. Problem there is that if you then want to do like a game on Ryujinx, it's not going to have the update once you delete this, right? Once you delete this, like let's say I rename this folder to .bak or something. Now, if I go to front mission and I go to manage title updates, there's no update here, right? But if I rename that back to updates and I go to here and I go to manage title updates, there's the update and it's installed because I already installed it. You know, all you do is you right click the game, go to manage title updates, go to add, and then you go to wherever you have the update. In our case is Nintendo Switch updates, and you select that file, click add, and boom, now the update is installed, and Ryujinx is just referencing this exact file here. All right, hope that's making sense. So point is, for Ryujinx, it references the actual NSP file where it stands, wherever it is you have it. That's why for this game, since I configured it with Ryujinx, I kept this update file right in here. With Yuzu, it installs it into its internal file system, into the emulator folder. So it would be over here in our arcade emulators, Yuzu and Yuzu early access. And then inside your user folder, you know, inside here in these file systems, it installs the update. Whereas Ryujinx does not do that. So the point is that if you guys decide, okay, I want to run, let's say Mario Kart, right? Let's look for Mario Kart. If you want to run Mario Kart with Ryujinx instead of Yuzu, you can right click Mario Kart here. You can see that this is on version 2.3.0 Here's a DLC update, and here's an update to 2.3.0. That's through Yuzu. So now you come over here to Ryujinx and you look for the same game. And where did it go? There it is. If you right click this one and you go to manage title updates, you can see there's no updates and there's no DLCs. And this game is on version, it's only on version 1.0.1. So you only have the base version showing up in Ryujinx. Why? Because when I installed this game, I installed it over here and I applied all of the updates through Yuzu. I did not save the original update files. So I did not save the original update files over here where I put the updates, because that would mean that it would be taking up space in the Yuzu file system and here. And some of the update files are big. They can be like 2, 3, 4 gigs. All right. So unfortunately, what you would have to do in this case, if you wanted to permanently switch Mario Kart 8 to Ryujinx, is basically go over here, right click on the game, and go to remove, and go to remove all installed contents. That'll delete the update files, the DLCs, everything. It'll just leave the base game only. Or I think if you remove all installed contents, it might try to delete the game. So I would just do like, I would do one at a time. I would do remove update, remove DLC, and remove configuration and caches and all that. And then it'll just leave the game itself. And then you would have to go online and re-download all of the updates and all of the DLCs, put them in here, for example, in this updates folder, and then come over here to Ryujinx, right click, manage title updates, and go to add, and then reference all those files and click add. And now it would have all those updates in Ryujinx. All right, guys, I hope that made sense, and I'll see you guys on the next one.